In the vast, unending white of the northern tundra, a kingdom of ice and silence, life endures against all odds. Here, under a sky the color of pale steel, a living mountain moves. This is the domain of the great bison, a creature of immense power, his shaggy coat thick with the frost of 1,000 winters. He is the patriarch, the protector, leading his herd through an eternal winter that has gripped the land for as long as the oldest matriarch can remember. Every step is a deliberate, earth-shaking testament to their resilience. Their breath plumes in the frigid air, tiny clouds of life in a world frozen still. The young ones, huddled in the center of the moving mass, are shielded from the relentless wind by the sheer bulk of the adults. The great bison, at the forefront, carves a path through snowdrifts as tall as a man, his massive head a living snowplow. His horns, curved like ancient scythes, are etched with the stories of battles won and challenges overcome. He is more than just a leader. He is the embodiment of the herd's will to survive, a symbol of unyielding strength against the cold's indifferent cruelty. The ground trembles with their passage, a slow, rhythmic drumbeat of life in the heart of desolation. But they are not alone. The tundra holds other children, born not of warmth and grass, but of blizzard and biting hunger. Across the pristine snow, shadows flicker and race, moving with a speed and silence that is utterly unnerving. They are the frost wolves, a pack as legendary as the winter itself. Their fur is the color of storm clouds and fresh snow, making them nearly invisible against the landscape. Their eyes gleam with a chilling, intelligent light, the pale blue of glacial ice. They are phantoms of the cold, their paws making no sound as they glide over the frozen earth. Led by an alpha whose cunning is as sharp as his fangs, they are the apex predators of this frozen world. They do not hunt merely for food, they hunt as a force of nature, an embodiment of the winter's unforgiving spirit. Their howls are not calls to the moon, but the sound of the wind itself given a voice, a promise of the chill that seeps into bone and freezes the heart. For days, they have shadowed the bison herd, a silent, patient threat, waiting for the perfect moment when the cold has sapped just enough strength, when a single moment of weakness presents itself. The moment arrives as the sun dips below the horizon, plunging the world into a twilight of deep blues and purples. The wind picks up, a mournful song that whips snow into stinging clouds, reducing visibility to mere feet. It is in this maelstrom of ice and shadow that the frost wolves decide to strike. They don't attack from one direction, that would be too simple, too predictable. Instead, they materialize from the storm itself, a coordinated, multi-pronged assault designed to create chaos and panic. One group bursts from a snowdrift to the left, another appears like apparitions from the right flank. A third contingent charges from behind, aiming to cut off any retreat and separate the weaker members from the herd's protective core. Their movements are a symphony of predatory grace. The air fills with a chorus of snarls and snaps, the sound of icy fangs eager for the kill. The bison herd reacts instantly, their survival instincts honed by generations. They form a defensive circle, a fortress of fur and horn, with the calves and the elderly sheltered within. The bellowing of the bulls is a deep, resonant challenge to the howling wolves, a declaration that this land will not be surrendered easily. The scene is one of primal conflict, a clash of survival and hunger played out on a stage of ice and snow. The alpha wolf, larger and more formidable than the rest, with fur the color of a gathering blizzard, fixes his gaze on the true prize, the great bison. He knows that to break the herd, he must break its leader. He signals his elite hunters and they begin to probe the great bison's defenses, feinting and darting in, their attacks like lightning strikes. They are a whirlwind of white fur and gleaming teeth, trying to find a single opening in the titan's guard. But the great bison is a master of combat. He is not just a creature of brute strength, he is a veteran of countless battles. He meets their fluid attacks with a movable defense. He pivots on his powerful legs, his massive head a weapon that can turn the tide in an instant. A wolf lunges for his flank, and with a swift, brutal swing of his head, he sends the attacker tumbling through the snow, yelping in pain. Another attempts to hamstring him from behind, but a kick from his powerful hind leg is like being struck by a battering ram, and the wolf retreats, limping and broken. He is a fortress unto himself, his presence on the battlefield a source of courage for the rest of the herd. His deep, rumbling growls are a constant counterpoint to the wolves' high-pitched snarls, a promise of retribution for every inch of ground they try to take. The chaos of the battle rages. The air is thick with the scent of adrenaline and the primal fury of the fight. The ground, once a pristine blanket of white, is now churned and stained, a testament to the life and death struggle unfolding. A young bull, bold but inexperienced, overextends himself, charging at a pair of wolves. It's a trap. The wolves part like water, and 3 more converge on his exposed side, their fangs sinking into his thick hide. He bellows in pain and fear. Seeing this, the great bison does not hesitate. He lets out a roar that is not just sound, but a physical force, a shockwave that seems to momentarily stun the attacking wolves. He lowers his head and charges. This is not a defensive maneuver. This is a full-blown, earth-shattering offensive. The ground shakes beneath his hooves. He moves with the momentum of an avalanche, a force of nature unleashed. He smashes into the group of wolves surrounding the young bull, not with his horns, but with the full, immense weight of his body. The impact is catastrophic. Wolves are thrown into the air like snowflakes in a gale, their coordinated attack shattered into individual moments of survival. He has broken their formation, turning their greatest strength, their pack dynamic, against them. He stands over the wounded young bull, a living shield, daring any wolf to approach. The alpha wolf watches, his intelligent eyes calculating, processing the shift in the battle. The bison's charge was devastating, but it also left him slightly isolated from the core of the herd. This is the opportunity the alpha has been waiting for. He lets out a sharp, commanding howl, and the remaining pack members, the strongest and most cunning, disengage from the main herd and converge on a single target, the great bison. The final confrontation begins. It is no longer herd versus pack, it is king versus king. The alpha and his chosen warriors encircle the great bison, a closing ring of death. They move with a terrifying synchronicity, darting in to snap at his legs, his underbelly, his face, trying to wear him down, to bleed him dry. The air is a blur of white fur and dark hide. The great bison is a whirlwind of defensive fury. He spins and stomps, his horns carving deadly arcs through the air. He catches a wolf on the tip of his horn and flings it aside with a contemptuous flick of his head. He tramples another under his massive hooves, the crunch of bone barely audible over the din of the storm. But the wolves are relentless. For every one he incapacitates, 2 more seem to take its place. The alpha stays just out of reach, directing the assault, looking for that one fatal mistake. The battle reaches its zenith. The great bison is bleeding from a dozen minor wounds, his breath coming in ragged, steaming gasps. The cold, his constant companion, is now an enemy, seeping into his weary muscles. The alpha wolf sees his moment. As the bison turns to fend off an attack from his left, the alpha launches himself forward, a silent, white missile aimed at the bison's throat. It is the killing blow, executed with perfect timing and lethal intent, but the great bison is not yet defeated. In a display of incredible agility for a creature his size, he drops his head and twists his body. The alpha's teeth, instead of finding soft flesh, clamp down on the thick, solid bone of the bison's horn. The jarring impact sends a shockwave through the wolf's jaw. Before the alpha can disengage, the great bison heaves his head upward with all his remaining might. The alpha wolf is lifted off his feet, dangling helplessly from the horn, his authority and menace gone in an instant. The great bison gives one final, titanic shake of his head, and the alpha is flung through the air, landing in a crumpled heap in a deep snowdrift. His reign ended. Seeing their leader fall, the remaining frost wolves falter. Their courage, their pack mind shatters. The fight drains out of them, replaced by a primal instinct to flee. They turn and melt back into the swirling snow from whence they came, their fleeting shadows the only evidence they were ever there. The tundra falls silent once more, the only sounds the moaning of the wind and the heavy breathing of the victorious herd. The great bison stands tall, his massive form silhouetted against the pale moonlight that now breaks through the clouds. Blood drips from his wounds, freezing into crimson icicles on his shaggy fur. He is wounded, exhausted, but unbroken. He lifts his head to the frozen sky and lets out a bellow. It is not a roar of aggression or a cry of pain. It is a deep, resonant, triumphant sound that rolls across the frozen plains. It is the sound of survival, the declaration of a king reclaiming his kingdom. It is the voice of the protector, the guardian of the herd, echoing through the eternal winter, a promise that as long as he draws breath, his people will endure. He is the heart of the tundra and his heart beats strong. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story of the wild, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more epic tales from the natural world.